just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a strike.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Ryan Rice. On this episode, we go over a master closet renovation. Now, in this video, I actually had to shoot it with the iPhone on most of it because the LED light would make flickers, the flickering in the GoPros just because of the frequency of the light. So, it doesn't happen on the iPhone. So some of the footage may have some of the GoPro footage in it, and it maybe have some flickering because I just wanted to show you some things. Everybody always wants to see the finished product anyway. That's what everybody wants to see, how everything turns out. But we just had the builder's wire racking in here before. My wife wanted to get a little bit nicer looking of a system, have more hanging and some more shelving than what we used to have before. But this, the closet organizer itself was installed by a subcontractor. I'm going to leave all the links in the description below for the color of the paint, the brand, the flooring itself, what I did for the flooring, the closet system itself, and the subcontractor who did it for us here in the South Carolina area. So I'll leave all those, all the links below in the description so you guys can, see what colors we use, what kind of flooring, etc. But the details on this video is not as much as I wanted to. I did kind of go over some of the prep work and all that, but just due to the time restraints and everything else, I didn't get into as much as I wanted to like I normally will. Videos moving forward will be a lot more, detailed as I do my bathrooms and, kitchen and all that stuff. But this is just a master closet, so I just want to throw a little, video together for this, just to give everybody an idea and help you guys out there, help pick some selections when you guys do your projects as well. So stay tuned and let's see how this goes. So you can see, based on the color of the walls and the color of the carpet, the house is 8 years old. So the selections are getting a little, a little outdated. Sorry about if you see any kind of line. That's the LED light showing on the camera. But you can see here we have some holes that we got to patch, and that was all from the, the wire mesh shelving. So we're going to go through here. We got to do some spackling. We'll take a few coats, a little bit of sanding, and we'll get these walls cleaned up. We have to rip out the carpet. We are going to put wood flooring in here. That vinyl planking stuff, that's the hot new thing. It's waterproof. It'll be good when I get out of my shower. And if I walk into my closet with wet feet, I'm not worried about ruining the floor. We're going to change the basin here. Obviously, we're going to repaint this. And we have a closet, a very simple closet design coming into here. I'm going to change the hardware on this door to black to match the rest of the house. And, after this, I'm going to do a little bit of a, almost like a toy storage downstairs on the first floor. To keep you guys updated will be our next project, and some shiplap on the wall behind that. And we're going to do some built-in cabinetry to hide all my son's toys. So it kind of cleans up the first floor. Then we are going to come back. Sorry about the mess. I'm just kind of, jumping around here, but we're going to be redoing this master bathroom next. And we have some great ideas. We're going to do that modern farm look. And I'm probably going to do a barn door here, but that's a whole nother episode, guys. I just kind of want to show you where we're at here. This is our master closet. Let's get on to the process, start patching some of these holes and cleaning up this room and getting prepped for flooring and for our closet organizer. So what I just did now is I went through, and obviously you need to be able to spackle the holes. So obviously we don't put a hole through the wall, but you just take a hammer, lightly tap where all the, the supports were made, holes from where the supports were installed. You want to be able to get those, a little bit of indentation on the sheetrock. This way you can fill those with spackle. It should just take a couple coats. I would do one heavier coat, but don't over fill the hole. You're just literally filling the hole just enough so it fills and almost makes it flush with the wall. Then you come back on your second coat, kind of go a little heavier on it. Obviously, you still don't build it up heavy. You just put just enough that you can sand it off, and it makes it flush with the wall. So do not put your spackle on heavy. You just want to fill these holes in the first time, just enough to make them almost level with the wall. That spackle is going to shrink, when it starts to cure, it's going to shrink and kind of, get recessed into that hole again. Anyway, you come back, stick a second coat on there really heavy, but not too heavy that you're sanding the bunch off and making the mess. You just kind of take it, and you'll see in the process right now, it'll just be a little bit of spackle. On the second coat, it's going to be a little bit heavier and kind of go over and, you know, fill like maybe like a 4x4 area, you know, 4 inches by 4 inches. And it's still going to be not super heavy, but it's going to fill and be a little bit heavier, just so it's a little bit rounded over that hole. And when I come back and sand that, it's going to be all, you know, flush and level with the wall when it's all said and done and ready for paint. So this is just your first coat. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to shrink and start going into the wall already. You can see here, it's just your base coat. So that's what I'm saying. Your second coat, you're going to come back. You're going to give this a heavier coat. I usually do 3 coats on everything because I have OCD. But just come back to a second coat. You're just going to fill in where that, where that compound has shrunk, and you're just going to fill that in just a bit. But remember, it's your first coat. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't drive yourself nuts trying to get it perfect. So see, this is why I was saying, don't worry about your first coat being perfect because it's going to shrink. Same thing on the second coat. Do not go heavy. You just want to fill this in so it's flush with the wall because it's going to shrink down again. Then our final coat is when it's going to kind of cover this whole thing and it's going to get feathered out a bit, and that's when you sand it down. Then it'll all be level and flush with the wall when you're done with your third coat and sanding. So we're just going to come back through once again, just kind of lightly touch it all. You can see here I got like a line from the sheetrock. Just take your knife and you can kind of get it somewhat flush or flat and just lightly hit it again. You just want to fill in the holes for now. You don't have to worry about being perfect because it's going to shrink. But I always do with 2 thin coats. Then the last coat I usually go heavy. But still, you do not go too heavy that you have a bunch of sand off. But you just want to be able to feather out all this area so you don't really see it. And you just lightly sand it. A lot of times anymore, especially with patches, I wet sand, which I just take a microfiber towel, just get a bucket of water, and I just lightly dampen it and just wipe it over it, instead of doing the wet, dry block sanding, because A, it keeps the dust down, especially in a finished home. And, you know, if you have your air conditioning running or your heat running, you're definitely going to want to shut that off if you do dry sanding, because you will suck it in through your vents, get into the system, and you will spread it, believe it or not, lightly throughout your house. Now, wet sand, I just take a microfiber towel, get it somewhat wet, but you don't want it dripping wet. And as you see here up close, you can see those rough edges. So what I do is just lightly rub the edges, and it gets those edge marks that you're going to see through the paint gone. Kind of take a circular motion and just rub it across. And if you got like any streak marks, I just lightly go across, give it a final wipe, and that's going to dry. And this is all flush with the sheetrock, and you can see all the patches are blending into the wall. And once you paint that, the thickness of the paint is going to hide those. Once again, just hit the edges. You don't want this towel to be super wet, but you're going to start loosening up that spackle when it gets wet. And as you go back and forth, it just blends it into the wall. Just feel for any heavy humps or anything that you want to get rid of. And just go back across it with a light wipe, and you are done. So with the wet sanding, everything's nice and smooth to the touch, and there is not an ounce of dust on the floor and our vents, and is not spreading throughout the house. Next thing will be is rip up the carpet, remove the trim, and do some paint. And one little tip, when you have these kind of patches on your wall, take your roller of paint and hit all these patches first before you do the rest of the wall. Get one coat on all these patches, and that sheetrock or that spackle or that patch, whatever you want to call it, is going to absorb that paint and get into that spackle. This way, when you roll it, you're not going to see these blotch marks in your actual finished product. So definitely hit these at least once or twice real quick. Let them dry. Let some of that paint get into that raw spackle, and then do your finish coat on all the walls, and it will all blend together, and you will not see these patches. So the walls are painted. I didn't want to bore you guys with that, but you can see my patches. You do not see them bleeding through the paint at all, because like I said, you want to hit at least 1 or 2 coats over the patches with a roller. Let them dry a bit before you roll the whole wall, and you won't find any bleeding through or any discoloration in the walls at all to throw off your paint. So next thing we got is the flooring to go down. We were putting down the Provenza Max Core Mata Living Collection. It's a luxury waterproof vinyl plank flooring. I do apologize for the echo. You know, it's an empty room, so that's what you get. But this flooring Has a vinyl backing to it, or like a rubber backing. So it has a little bit of give if you have any imperfections in your floor. And I think more or less is what holds it in place and grips, because this is a floating floor. So you leave a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch gap off the wall, and then you bring your base down to it to cover the end. But this is a completely floating floor, no nails, no glue. It basically clicks together, short side down, and then you kind of click in the other side. 25-year or a lifetime warranty for residential use. So for the price of this stuff, I think it was like $5 a square foot. It better last. So besides making your, make sure your subfloor is clean, make sure your staples are nailed in, from the carpet, make sure there's no nails sticking up. So this plank is about 7 1/8. So what I'll do is I'll measure out about 7 1/2 from the wall and just get a reference point. And then I'll take a square and get take your one wall. And you can check your squareness of the room against your other wall, which I did. It's not off that bad. But I'll just make it, get the square in there and make a mark along the floor. So now I got a reference point of a square line across the whole length of the closet here. But being that you have, you want to leave a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch off the wall for this flooring to float. That's what's required via the instructions. You have a little bit of wiggle room. So, if your flooring starts going down and you're running off a little square, you can just, you have that finagle room between that, that 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch gap against the wall, which obviously most time your sheetrock is up from the floor anyway. So you'll be able to have a lot of wiggle room to keep your flooring straight. And you kind of have to keep it straight because that's the only way it locks together. So you can see it's got like these interlocking tabs. So obviously this tab's going to go, you almost have a smooth side here, but you got to lay this side against the wall and leave this tab exposed because that's what, locks all these floors together. Then at the end here, you have these little tabs. Sorry, let me get in the frame here. These little tabs that lock together, but I'll show you as I go here. So we're going to start with our first piece. This tab down first. And it kind of locks together with the other floor. I don't know if you saw that one together. So obviously you want your next piece to be longer than these two because you want to cover this seam here. So this is pretty cut and dry. You just tilt it down and it kind of like interlocks with the next piece. And once again, you want to make sure that you're completely tight and you don't see any of the white from those interconnecting pieces. That's it, guys. It just locks together. Anybody can do this. This is not a hard floor to install. It just, once you get the hang of it, how one side you got to tilt it in and then work it into the other piece. It's just a little bit of wiggling, finagling, and you get used to it. And the more you do it, the faster you get at it and you understand how it really interlocks. But it's just a fast moving, easy, very durable floor. And this is the finished flooring in 2 hours and 15 minutes. So all we got to do now is just do the base. You can see the gap around the wall that we left for movement and expansion. We got 4 pieces of base. And then we'll have our transition piece here at the tile in the bathroom. This is going to be temporary because we'll be ripping out the bathroom. But after the base and that transition, it's just going to be the closet organizer system itself. That we are subbing out just for time restraint. For the price they're, charging us for install, it's not worth doing it ourselves.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we got.
Here is the finished product after the contractor installed the master closet system itself. We didn't go super elaborate with as many drawers because we just don't need them. We need more hanging and some shelves. You can adjust these shelves to wherever you want them. You can add more shelves down the line. You got the luxury of adding shelves if you don't need as much hanging. But overall, this came out very nice. It's better looking than just the wire shelving. I have a drawer. This will be my side. Basically this is my side. and then my wife will have from here, through here around. This here has a lot more shelving in it. This is where we're going to keep our, towels, etc. So overall, this is the overview. This is the finished product. I think it came out good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I went over a few things, prepping with the paint, filling all the holes and everything else like that. Like I said before, videos moving forward, I'll get a little bit more detailed, show you guys a little bit more. But I think overall, this gives you a good concept of what you can do with your master closet. The flooring system itself, you can save the money, buy it, purchase it, and install it. Obviously, most of you out there can do painting yourself, and even the spackling portion of it. If you guys just take your time, you can do that as well. So, a renovation of a master closet, even the system itself, if you had the time, it's just cleats that hang on the wall and your, shelving supports off of that, itself. So it's not that hard to do. This is something that any homeowner could tackle themselves and do if you'd like. So as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next one, and drive that nail home.